All right. Welcome back to Beyond the Bend. I'm here with two former guests, two guys I know pretty well. Caveman Dave Nisbet, and Chuck and Canuck Josh Goldthorp. Two guys that I really connected with early on. We had a really insane group message with Dan Dring and Devin Hoover through the most part of 2020, and it was probably one of the best things that happened as far as my bending progress, and I think everyone else's to have a group of guys that we were really pushing each other with beyond like what people were doing on Instagram. So welcome back to the show, guys.
Thanks for having us.
So I know you guys have been up to a whole lot, and we'll get into that, but what do you guys agree as far as like just starting that group chat and having a group of like peers, so to speak? Do you think that helped you along in the progress, Dave?
Oh man, yeah, it was very, very valuable. I learned so much through you guys, like between just, banging ideas off each other, what to do next, or technique work, or any kind of insight, just even talking about the sport and everything to do with it. It was very influential. And I wouldn't be where I am now, or wouldn't have done the things that I've done if it was not for that group. So it was very, very valuable for me.
Yeah, I think like without even saying it out loud, I think we were all kind of going through this little bout of depression, like competitive depression, where we weren't competing in anything. We didn't have any goals coming up because everything was canceled. So it was kind of like we were pushing each other, and they were actually able to feed off of that, which was really, really good. I know for me anyway.
No, I totally agree. That's a super good point, and I think you hit the nail on the head, honestly. Like, because it was a struggle during lockdown and pandemic and everything, and obviously, I don't know. I guess Devin's done some competitive strongman and then stuff like that. So everybody in the group was coming from some type of competitive background. Dan and I from the jiu-jitsu, you guys from assorted strength sports. So it's like it was really cool. And Steel Shredder is great. David Horn's page is amazing. But I really encourage, like, if there's new benders out there, like, figure out who's around your level and just connect with them in another way where you're like chatting throughout the day and pushing each other, because I really think we were all able to take down some cool shit, and that had a lot to do with like egging each other on throughout the day.
Yeah, I think a lot of
sorry, go ahead, Josh.
I think a lot of our ideas came from that group, which, you should push everybody to open up groups like this, because, you'd think of an idea and swing it by these other guys that might want to do it. And all of a sudden somebody says, yeah, go for it. And you're in your garage trying to bend something you've never bent before. It was kind of neat.
And Cody, you said even like get in touch with guys around your level, but like even if they're not around your level, because we all had kind of a little niche that we were good at. And so it was awesome to share guys who were better at different styles as well, right? You're able to feed back. Like I had never done any kind of brace bending, and then talking Cody with you and Dan, you guys pushed me into the brace and then the snapping, and things kind of just spiraled from there for me. So it was awesome to be able to have that kind of connection with guys who had different specialties or interests within the steel bending world. Because I'd only done double overhand at that point, I believe, when I was on the show last, and when I started talking to you guys.
Crazy. That's wild to think. So had you not even bent a horseshoe, but when you came on the show?
I think I had done a couple real small horseshoes, because I didn't know what to order the first time, and I ordered 000, so they were really tiny ones. And so I definitely hadn't done any horseshoe snapping, I don't believe, at that point. I think all I had done is just I'd won that 60D challenge that you put down. And so my experience was, I'm pretty sure at that point, pretty close to only just double overhand. Maybe I had bent one or two, but certainly hadn't snapped anything. And I wasn't even able to brace bend a red nail at that point. I remember trying and failing hard. So I learned a ton from you guys. It was very helpful.
Wow, that's great. So you could double overhand a red nail and you couldn't brace one at one time?
That's correct, yeah.
So there's been a whole lot of stuff that's going on, lots of competitions, lots of rosters and everything. One thing I really did want to touch on quickly before we get into anything too deep is Josh started his own roster, Ben Sports Canada. What's going on with that, Josh, and what can people expect with that?
It's initially we had some good growth right away, and we had tons of orders, and it's kind of petered off a little bit. But I was saying to the wife, like, I kind of like that. We get 1 or 2 orders a week of people getting interested, and they're still ordering like beginners kits and stuff like that. And it's been kind of a neat side project. Like, it's not my income, so I'm not looking to make money off of this thing. It's just neat to see people seeing a new goal put out there and actually working towards those goals. It's fun to watch, actually.
Nice. And just break down the ones that you have real quick for anyone that maybe doesn't know about it yet.
Yeah, so we have, as far as I know, it's the only female certification list, where we have a bar and a bolt. The bar is 1/4 inch by 7 inch cold rolled steel, and the bolt is a 6 inch grade 5, which has been bent by females before, so it's nothing out of the realm of their strengths. And then for the men, we have something similar to a red nail. It's a little bit harder, and then a 6 inch grade 5, 5/16 bolt. We are coming out with something new, and it's more for brace bending than double overhand, although it still can be done double overhand, but I'll leave it at that for now until we actually release the thing.
That's exciting. That's cool. And obviously these two guys are frequenters of the Horito site. Horito's still on top. If you want to save 10% on Horito, use promo code CHEERS. Obviously he has every style out there. Seems to be a steady trickle in of people certing the main one and then getting into the other stuff steadily. It looks like, every couple days I see a new post on there, and there's still a couple ones I want to take down. I just got my hands on some 4.8s from Tom Flesher, so I want to try maybe be the first American to barehand one of those bad boys. Awesome. It doesn't seem like anybody has yet. It's just Russians and then Josh, and that's it.
Even like, it might be the easiest bolt, but man, that thing sucks.
It's brutal. I tried barehanding it last week. I failed miserably. I warmed up like crazy, and I couldn't even budge it. I need to work on it big time. Josh, the fact you've done that, you're on every list, aren't you?
Yeah.
Did you get any bend in it, Josh or Dave?
No, I didn't. I'm not very good at double underhand. Like, it just wrecks my tendon. So I was trying to do it reverse, and I don't know if that's the right one, because it's quite. I mean, I'm sure it's painful double underhand, but it just the way it digs in. I just got to work at those two styles quite a bit.
Gotcha.
Yeah. To be quite honest with the strength of that thing, it's mostly just pain tolerance.
Yeah, I got to build that up for those styles for sure.
So it seems like everybody's sort of dialed back a little bit, not like in a major way, but just like, I think as the life comes back a little bit, everybody is, or maybe just found their groove with what works and doesn't beat you down into the ground. So what kind of bending frequency and other training are you guys doing these days?
The bending frequency for myself is dialed back quite a lot. I'm starting to pick it back up again. I had a strongman competition in the middle of August. So as we all know, bending does take its toll on your body, between your central nervous system, your tendons and everything. So I dialed quite a bit back at the end of summer, but now I'm starting to pick it up quite a little bit more. I'm trying to limit myself to just a couple times a week, but it's pretty easy to get carried away when you're having fun or anything like that. So it's still trying to stick to about 2 times a week with the bending, and then regular strength training about 3 to 4 times a week, depending if I have time or not.
Nice. How about you, Josh?
Yeah, I'm bending like crazy. I think now that I chased the dragon for so long, I've kind of run out of certs. And it's I kind of want to keep some goals ahead of me. So I am bending, but I'm not going as hard as I was. And now that my injury has kind of healed itself from my back, I'm back into regular strength training, and that's coming back. So I'm excited to get out and throw again. So the bending's still there. It's just not the main focus right now.
How many days a week are you doing?
For bending, it's some weeks it's almost every day, and other weeks it's, if I've done something big, I'll go once a week. There's really no regular pattern to it.
Gotcha. That's crazy to think. I mean, it makes sense, but like, I figured whenever you posted a video, those were like the bending days. But to think you're in there just like bending away is pretty wild.
Realistically, anytime I'm out in the garage, there's something being bent.
So you said you had a back injury that was pre-existence before bending, right?
It was during, so it happened this past April, and to be quite honest, I can't even pinpoint when it happened. I just know that it felt like a herniated disc. So talking to my doctor, try to get into an appointment here when with everything backed up with COVID to try to get a CT scan on it. It's like pulling teeth. So I decided to rehab it like a slip disc, and I had some sciatic nerve for a while, and now it's kind of getting back into it. So I might not even need it. I don't know.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And is there any throwing on the horizon? You mentioned there's some maybe in the States or something.
Nothing as far as competition goes. I had one that was kind of a last minute invite. Hey, we were able to throw this festival together. I went out and threw like garbage and but it was good to see everybody again. So nothing on the docket yet. I'm hoping next year as we get closer to New Year's, the invites will start coming out, and next weekend I'm actually going to start throwing again. So I'm excited about that.
Right on. That's awesome. That'll be great to see. So you guys both did the last steel shredder, right? The how short can you go braced?
Oh man, that was ridiculous. Oh my God. I don't know how those guys go 4 inches on a 5/16 bar.
It's insane. It hurts so bad. Like getting that short is wild. The pain tolerance those guys have and the wrist strength that they're able to do is like to bend those bars is wild. So much power with some of those fellas.
Did either of you guys attempt to like bend it over the thumbs? Like it seemed to be the key. When I attempted it, I just did it like regular, and I was like, this hurts so bad. I don't think I can take this right now. But it seems like the guys who actually got it, like Ruben, were switched instead of over their index, they were going over their thumbs, like in an interesting way.
After watching Jaden blow his thumb apart on one of his videos, oh man, I cringe every time I try to go there, so I stay away from it.
I tried playing around with it just with some 60D spirals, and it was just a challenge there. So I kind of just stuck to what I knew. I'm not very experienced with the short bending like that, so to try and learn it over the thumb like that, I just steered clear of that.
Yeah, that was a very brutal one. That was like, I mean, they're all pretty brutal, and they're gonna cost you some blood and sweat, but that one just seemed like extra, and it's just like I wasn't even in the mindset for that. It was just so brutal.
I knew people were going to be sub 5 inches, but I didn't realize it was going to be that ridiculous.
Yeah. I had seen that Krill once snapped a red and then bent to 2 pieces of the snapped steel, like in doubles or something, like, but it doesn't even matter. Like that's an insane feat because it's all wonky from being snapped the one time. Like I can't, it's insane.
It's all sharp on one end. Like I don't know how he just sliced his hand up.
That guy is scary strong.
Yeah. And fast.
And you know what pisses me off about Kirill is that he'll bend something ridiculous and then go run a marathon.
Yeah, exactly.
Like what the
yeah, it's not supposed to be that way. You're supposed to be strong, you're supposed to have endurance. You're not supposed to have both.
That's right. So Dave, sometime in the last time since you've been on the show, you got a world record for fastest horseshoe snap. So tell us about that a little bit.
Say that again, sorry?
Tell us about that a little bit.
Yeah, that was an interesting kind of process. I tried bending a horseshoe and I got successful with a couple of those smaller ones I mentioned earlier. And then I was actually driving out to my wife's family's cabin, and I was listening to your podcast with Amir, and he was talking about snapping horseshoes. And I actually, on the way, there's a farrier, so I stopped by and picked him up. And I had no idea what I was doing. I was walking around playing with the kids and just bending it back and forth, and I managed to snap it in about 35 minutes, which is pretty slow. But I was like, I didn't really know what I was doing. So each successive time I did it, I got quicker and quicker and quicker. And I got down to one point where I did it in 5 minutes. And then the next time I went and got it, and I think it was 88 seconds. And I went, okay, like this, I think that sounds pretty fast. I don't know much about it. So I started reaching out to Don Cummings and David Horn and trying to get an idea of if there was a record for that at all. And then spoke to Chris Ryder with Record Holder Republic, and he said there's no current record for it. And so I figured, what the heck, go for it. I was really enjoying it at the time. I got it down to 44 seconds at one point, and then I ordered a new box. And the new box that came in were very different ultralight number 2s than I'd been training on. And so it took me a while to actually build up to do it. But it was, it was just a lot of fun. It was a neat process. And I'm glad I did it. Kind of set them in the back burner since then, but I really enjoyed the horseshoes a lot for a while there.
Yeah, you know, like it brings up a good point, and it's been talked about on the show, but it's such an interesting phenomenon that it's worth talking about again. And I guess I've seen this in jiu-jitsu, and maybe you guys have seen this in your respective sports as well. But the fact that like once something is put that out there into the community or existence, like the rapidness of progression that takes place, right? If you figure, like, if you, it sounds like prior to like Amir and a few guys, like really no horseshoes had been snapped, you know, and then we're talking like a very, very lengthy feat, maybe even broken up into several sessions or something. And then, you know, little by little, even in your own journey with it, it was like, and you see this people with red nails all the time. It's like, oh, the first one took me 25 minutes. The second one took me 5. The third one took me 1:30. You know, it's like, it's so crazy. And it just like bugs me out to see this in real time that like there are these things that are somewhat thought of as impossible. And then they're made possible, and then people do it. You know, I saw it in skateboarding too. It's like the level always like gets just turned up, and I think that's something that's so cool. You know, what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, it only takes one person. Sorry, Dave, I cut you off there.
Go ahead, go ahead.
It only takes one person to do this stuff, and I haven't thanked Dave in person, so I'm going to thank you for this. So the first time I tried to snap a horseshoe took me 55 to an hour. And I was trying to snap it in the dumbest way possible. And then Dave, I remember it was almost that weekend or the weekend after, he was out with the family and just playing around with horseshoes and came up with a way to snap it faster. And it took a lot of the workout out of it, but it was it was so much easier. But yeah, like you said, it only takes one person to actually do it. And then people realize that it is possible. Like people talk about the red nail all the time being an impossible feat 20 years ago or whenever they had come up with it, right? And now people are snapping it like nothing.
Yep.
It's crazy to watch that.
Absolutely. And for the record, Josh actually beat my time with the horseshoe. So I was texting him. I tried to convince him to go for the record. He's got it, man. You did it very fast, Josh. So kudos to you, buddy.
I'll come up with my own record. I won't tromp on friends' records.
It's not my record. It's just a record. I think you should go for it. You did a very good job on that.
And what's cool, I think, once you get a number of people doing something, it's like one person is only going to be able to, you know, sort of hone their technique so much, you know. Like, I think that's maybe why we saw the numbers on snapping reds just drop so much, like down to really a sub-minute feat for like the people that can do it well, you know. And it's like probably had to do with like Dan's efficiency of movement and lots of, you know, they're like, it's just because I figure like there was other people, like if you were the only one doing it, you'd only be able to beat your last thing. And then as soon as it put out to the masses, then it's like, I think it's just exponentially evolves that much more. It's just like, it beyond like a couple other things. I think this was probably the coolest thing about bending, was just to see the evolution take place in front of my eyes.
Oh, for sure. It's a buddy of mine had made the comment. He's like, it's kind of like a watch this, hold my beer type thing, right? If somebody does it at this length, another guy's doing it slightly shorter, and we it's a friendly competition. We keep pushing each other, and in my experience, it's a very encouraging push as well, right? And I think that's a really, really cool aspect of this activity.
Definitely.
Does Dan have the record for the shortest or the fastest red nail snap?
Yeah, for sure.
Dan Dring is an extraordinary snapper. That guy, he is so fast. I don't know if some people realize how strong that dude really is.
Yeah, he's going to be uncomfortable with me saying this, but I assume he's exceptionally good at jiu-jitsu and probably good at anything he puts his mind to. The way that dude approaches things is very, very technical, and he's just a very strong, smart dude. And yeah, I think it's like 30 seconds or something like that.
Yeah, if you got a hold of that guy on the mat, I'm sure you would know it.
Another one here. 12.9 snap. Both you guys have done it. You know, that's a pretty intense thing. What do you have to say about that one?
It was hard. It was very, very hard. It's a tricky bolt, right? It's very, very stiff. Yeah, I didn't actually, Dan pushed me really hard to go for that cert, and I was very, very happy to get it. And yeah, I would encourage everyone to go for that one. It's very tough, but it's a lot of fun. It's very satisfying for that one. You complete that.
Yeah. I honestly had an easier time with the 12 than I did the 10 because there was less bending, and it was a little more dangerous though, because when that sucker explodes, it goes. I ripped a hole in my shirt as it exploded out of my hand. So if you're gonna do it, be careful.
Wear pants. Never wear shorts snapping is something that I learned. You have to wear pants if you care about your legs.
So what's been some of the, we're touching on a little bit of the hard stuff. What do you feel like has been the hardest bend or snap since you guys have been on, starting with you, Dave?
I snapped St. Croix Ultralight #1 barehanded into 3 pieces. And that was without a doubt the hardest. That took me about an hour and 15 minutes to do. Probably could have done it a little bit quicker, but I was very careful with each hand placement because it hurt, and I didn't feel like just tearing my hands up just for something I wanted to try and do. It wasn't for a competition or anything. If you're in a competition, you can suck it up and just deal with the consequences, but that was just, for me, something to do. So I think that would be for sure the hardest. That was a very rough hour and 15 minutes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And what about you, Josh?
I'm trying to think, like, I've bent hard material, but the ones that were character building are the ones that took forever. Yeah, good Lord. The snapping the horseshoe into 3 barehanded, I did a #2. I think you did a #1. That's crazy. It's there's so many points you want to give up, but now you've invested half an hour into the snap, and now you can't go back into the house a loser. So you're in there trying to bend this thing evenly, and yeah, that's the horseshoe snap, and anything I've snapped barehanded has been the big character builders and the hard ones.
Sorry, Zoom is giving me some issue right now. It's like putting a timer on the meeting, which is pissing me off right now. So I'm trying to upgrade to the pro while we're talking.
Donate now.
Yeah, right. What else here? So the one you're working on right now is 10.9 at 6.5 inches, right, Josh?
Yeah, I've hit that twice now and come within 0.1 of an inch, and it's pissed me off. And so now that I've done 2 of them back to back, I'll probably leave it for a while and build up a little more strength, a little more experience with some tougher stuff, and then maybe come back to it. And that could be because I only have maybe 2 left, so I can't really waste them anymore.
I got a couple I can send you, Josh, if you need them. I think I got some here, but I certainly won't be double overhanding those.
You have little faith in yourself. I think you can do it.
Maybe someday, not anytime soon.
All right, I think I solved the little problem here.
There we go. Yeah, I got a little message that came up here.
Cool. Let's see. I'm trying to think. Oh, what else has been going? Oh, my competition. That was pretty incredible to see, Josh. The fastest 3 styles. That I wish that caught on a little more. It was just like maybe bad timing between.
Yeah. I think if you ran that again, you'd get some more people. Or I think, and this comes with other arguments that have happened in the steel bending community, but I think if you had different classes, then people would be all over it.
Yeah. And I think, yeah, definitely. And you and Wigrin coming out so hard and so damn fast, so quickly, it didn't leave room for too many other people.
That was ridiculously frustrating. Watching Wigrin, and then we're splitting hairs by like 0.2 of a second or something like that. Yeah. That was fun.
Yeah. Maybe I'll run another one. And some of the other challenges, those, like, I was happy that those got as much traction as they did. Like the how short can you go one was cool, and there was a few other ones that were really fun. was like that
What
stuff was
was
so important during the pandemic, you know?
what was the one that you won, Dave?
That would have been, when was that, Cody? That was maybe one of your first ones. It was the most 60 Ds in 60 seconds.
Yes.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
I think I got 11 or just shy. I might have just passed over the 11 and hit 10 there. That was a long time ago. Would that have been maybe September, October last year, Cody? Something like that?
Something
A
like
year
that.
ago now. Yeah.
That was my first contest. And then I forget which ones came after that, but yeah, that was the first one in it. Yeah, I think you got 11 in 60 seconds. And then we also did most snapped in maybe in 5 minutes, or I can't remember what, but Ruben won that one crazy fast. Tons of snaps, you know.
He is
I think
so
it was
strong.
in 5 minutes. I think he did like 12 or something like that.
That is absolutely absurd.
Mm-hmm. So what's the as far as bending goes, what are the things you have your eye on for the next big thing? Start with you, Dave.
I just want to be more well-rounded. I haven't played too much at all recently, or at all until recently, sorry, with the mid-length bars.
Nice.
So I just want to be more well-rounded. I'd like one of these years, hopefully this year, if not this year, to get into King Shield. That's kind of my long-term bending goal, is I'd love to qualify for that competition. And I know that comes with some various styles that I'm not very familiar with. So working on the mid-length, the long bar, as well as some reverse and double underhand. Just trying to be more well-rounded for sure. So nothing really I can say in particular, but just trying to keep up with David's upcoming competitions. I just did the last steel shedder was my first, and so I'm hoping to participate in each one along the way, providing stay healthy and no tendonitis issues, and just keep up with that. Nothing super specific, just to be more well-rounded.
Those mid bars, I don't know if you guys feel this way, but like, I feel like those maybe took it out of me more than anything else. Like just the core taxing and just like the pain. I did the elbow crook like sweep part like Don does, and just like I felt like maybe the most drained after like those sub 30 like 5/8 bends. What do you guys think about that? I feel like those are so taxing.
They're brutal. My experience is very limited, but man, I was sore. My rib cage was sore for quite a few days after doing those because my technique is poor. So instead of doing the elbow crook like Don does and a lot of guys do, I reach back and like tuck my hand back there, and so it's that much more torque on the core. And yeah, I was paying for that, so I gotta smooth things out quite a bit to be proficient at that.
Yeah, it's mid bar, and I can say this with absolute confidence, is not for bigger dudes. And it's and it's the same science with anything with wraps or double overhand. If you have very soft or wraps that have a ton of give, there's a lot of time between the actual pressure to when it actually hits the steel, right? So if I've got more fat on my legs to try and bend that over my leg, it takes a lot more pressure to get that over. And that's why it's my weakest style, because I've got bigger legs. I'm just a bigger dude. And I find like anything mid-length is just an absolute nightmare for me.
That makes sense. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to. I feel like that sweep position where it's like between your legs and around, and you're hooking it with the crook of your elbow, is super uncomfortable. It's like you got to find the perfect spot to generate any kind of power, and then it's like this like super awkward position to like brace and generate any kind of power. That's what I felt like with when I was trying the like under the butt kink on like a Goliath or something. That I don't know how the hell anyone generates any power that way.
See, that's the only way I get power.
Yeah.
It's so uncomfortable. The kink and the crotch are okay for mid bar with me, but like you said, Cody, that sweep part is so hard. Like I have that tucked up in my groin, and all I'm thinking when I'm pulling is there are arteries in here, there are lymph nodes in here. What am I crushing to do this? And so I got to just toughen everything up. Like it's a mind over matter thing. I know for steel bending, but my mind isn't quite there for that style yet. I gotta work on that.
Yeah, that is a brutal one. And what about you, Josh? Besides the 12.9 at the 6.5, what other ones do you have your eye on?
I've got a shipment actually coming from that arm lifting Russia.
Okay. Cool.
They have their new certification bars, so I have those coming. They don't look super hard, so I'm kind of looking forward to bending those. And they, I think they've come out with like a heart shape bend certification.
Oh, neat.
I don't know, never done any heart shape bends, so that should be interesting. But yeah, I don't really, yeah. Other than that, I don't really have anything concrete right now.
Yeah. And you did some other, like, what were some of the other ones that, some of the other certs, maybe the lesser known ones that you've done over like the last year? Gods of Grip or something?
Yeah, Gods of Grip. Yeah. So I did the Gods of Grip. I still am back and forth with them about a few things, but I did them. I did the Grip and Bend Italia. That's interesting. Their stuff is all stainless steel, so the kink is super easy, but to try and crush it down is the worst.
I did one of those. I think Gil sent it to me, and it was like so brutal. The crush was like nauseating.
Dawn is one step ahead of me on their ladder, and I have tried that bar twice, and I have not come close to crushing it. I think I got it down to 3 inches. It's so hard, man.
That's insane. Yeah, those bars are good. That like that dude's cool, and he puts out some fun grip challenges. Did you try the vertical bar challenge he had a little while back? Like the vertical.
No, and the only reason I haven't is I don't have a like an Olympic size bar or the loading plate or loading pin.
Gotcha.
But now he's got like a duck one or something that they're balancing a tennis ball on their hand. And
yeah, have you seen that, Dave?
No, I'm not familiar at all.
Yeah, the dude Giorgio from Grip and Bend Italia. It's like you hook a loading pin with your thumb while balancing a tennis ball on top, and you have to just like lift some max weight while keeping the tennis ball balanced. It's pretty cool looking. I just got to find a tennis ball, and I'm going to give it a try.
He's got that going on right now?
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
Cool. We'll check that out.
Yeah. That's like the duck lift or something?
Crazy duck lift challenge or something.
Yeah.
That is so creative.
Yeah, it's cool. And then I should have mentioned it already, but Devin has his own thing going on. So if anybody's getting into bending, you got to look up, what is it? Eat Nails Get Big, or
no, his screen name's Eat Chalk. I don't know what his
business is. Eat Nails, but just find Devin Hoover on Instagram and get a hefty beginner package and some nice thick wraps and stuff. And he's got rosters for the double 60s and 80D, 70D, a bunch of stuff, like unofficial rosters, which is cool if you want to get your name on a list somewhere, a good list.
Yeah, Josh, we were talking about ordering some grade 8s from him because we don't really get those up in Canada. So Devin, we're going to be doing an order from you, buddy.
Yeah, man. I don't know why it's so hard to get bolts and steel in Canada.
Well, especially considering the oil industry up here. Like, you'd think they would have all sorts of varieties. I got some buddies in the oil field, and they're like, "Oh, I'll get you some bolts," and they have grade 8s, but nothing bigger than 5 inch.
Yeah,
really.
I don't want anything to do with that.
Even grade 2s, you can't find any grade 2s here.
That's crazy. That's so strange. I wonder why that is. Yeah, I mean,
probably because we're buying from the States.
You can get a Lowe's and get the grade 2s here, like in the 1/4 inch and the 5/16. They make a on McMaster Car, they have a 5/16 by 7 grade 8. You should get one of those for you, Josh.
That's Good God. Isn't that that's like a 10.9 or something, isn't it? Pretty similar.
I don't know. I guess maybe it probably is.
I don't know. I've only been watching Derek snap the threads off of them, so
yeah. There was a while I reached out to a bunch of bolt manufacturers because I wanted to see if I could get threadless bolts because of the snapping issue, and they were all very weirded out by the question, and none of them were willing to do anything with it. But I thought that would be a cool thing to have and be able to sell,
Yeah. That's why I was like watching, I cannot remember who it was, but they tried the 12.9 double overhand and it snapped in their face. And that's why I kind of wanted to try and jump to like a 6.5,
Yeah.
just to go for like to minimize that chance of it actually snapping on me, because to dive into that piece of material, there's no control over it. There's 100% commitment, and who knows where it's going to end up. So yeah.
And that little inkling of doubt is going to hold back some percentage of strength, no doubt about it.
It'll kill everything.
Yeah, that's crazy. So what do you guys think now, like being a year and a half into this thing, what's some things you wish that you learned through going through it that you wished you knew in the beginning of it, and specific to bending?
Slow down off the start.
Slow down,
Like
right?
I know that everyone knows that from all sorts. Like if you come from any training background, you got to pace yourself, but it's just so fun and it's so addicting. And right off, like that first summer when I started, I was just going too much, just double overhand. I didn't listen to smarter people than me saying you got to switch up the styles because I sucked at them, and you don't want to do anything you suck at. And then I got tendonitis and I had to back off for quite a while. So I wish that I had listened to my inner voice and what everyone was saying. Just chill out, take your time with it, and you'll get there eventually.
And you, Josh?
I don't know if I would. I mean, I went way too hard when we first started this. I remember there was nights so I couldn't fucking sleep because my hands were throbbing. Like I couldn't. Oh god! But learning why they were doing it and then learning massage techniques afterwards, it kind of alleviated that fact. So I wish I'd known that earlier.
Yeah.
But the whole thing we talked about earlier about chasing certifications and everything, I wish I'd have spread that out a little more, because as soon as I learned about it, or about a new certification, I would order the steel and get all that out of the way. And then it's like, okay, what's next? So now I'm kind of in the spot right now where I have 2 or 3 pieces maybe that I have to shoot for. And then it's kind of like, well, can somebody else come out with a certification? Because I need something new.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. And I think it was maybe a perfect storm, sort of like we touched on in the beginning, like we're all suffering for, not just us, but everybody was in this weird stagnant point in their life with the COVID and everything. And it was like, for me, I remember there was times, especially once I started to make progress specific in like the bending brace stuff, was like I had just done something significant the night before, but I'd be down here and I'd be looking at the steel and I'd be like, I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to try. It's like, even though I knew I was shot, and it was just like, I'll just push myself through it. And it was like, then you're like even bummed more. You taxed yourself more. You failed to bend. You probably put like a kink in the steel you're not going to be able to use it now. It's just like that, like learning that the rest really is as important as any other training was like a real hard pill to swallow. And I'm still trying to I'm getting better with it. My wife even notices it, like now, like with the regular lifting and the strongman stuff, is just like getting better at just like allowing myself to chill, especially if it's like the day after I do something significant to me. It's like you can't be a total addict with this stuff.
It's easy to do though.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the biggest factor for especially us in that is the sense of embarrassment is gone. If I want to attack something that I've never tried before and I'm not successful with it, I don't have to upload the video. Like the embarrassment's gone. It's like, oh, I won't tell anybody about that one. We'll just leave it for next time.
That's true. That should be you should, if you still have them, you should do a fails video. Like one Dave did, still cracks me up.
Which one was that?
I think you were trying to film a horseshoe video and you kept messing with the intro, and you were like,
yeah, I think I was trying to do for your Beyond the Bend tutorial on how to do this. Now I just was stumbling over my words. Just what a loser. Yeah, I had some fun making that compilation. I just blew it.
I can't think about it too much or else I'll start cracking up. That was a hysterical video.
Yeah, it was fun. You got to be able to laugh at yourself.
Oh, totally. But there's like a bunch of new people that I want, that I think are coming up and doing significant stuff that I just want to mention. And if you guys have any takes on these guys, let me know. Only positive, of course. But Tom Morris, that dude is getting strong as hell, and he reversed a hard grade 5 today, and I just feel like in the snapping and braced world, and reverse too, like he's killing it, and I think he's going to be someone in probably this next year that's going to be doing some impressive stuff and maybe getting into some. I think he already did a horn competition, but got my eye on Tom for sure. He's killing it. The dude Tom Lennox, is he from Sweden too? He's like heavy double commander.
Is that David Wigren's buddy?
Yeah, that dude is strong as hell, unbraced. I mean, every style, but like, I think we're gonna see him doing some like even more crazy shit because he's doing really good, really fast. Anton Seiden, that dude's been quietly just like smoking thick, big ass horseshoes. Like,
he started the Kierkegaard list, didn't he?
What's that?
He started the Kierkegaard top 20 list, didn't he? Is that him? Yeah. That guy's very, very strong.
Anton has been smoking some big, thick horseshoes. It's crazy to see. I just like, that's wild. And my friend, I'm going to get on the show because he has a really cool background in training, a lot of like mace and Indian club training. This dude, William Reed, who I met through the Couch Potato Strong guys, he's Rude Skin on Instagram. He's dealing with an injury right now, but I think like he's going to be doing some cool stuff in the bending world coming up. And
he's messaged me a few times and asked for advice here and there, and he's gonna bend some big stuff.
Great dude. Also really strong in grip. Like he's he's based somewhere for the military, and I think it takes a little bit to get some stuff, but the grip stuff that he's got, and his grip is crazy strong. He's also a skateboarder and jiu-jitsu dude, so we clicked pretty well. And then goddamn Bulldog Marty, that dude is killing it. He's just like steadily with the most like scientific of all training, just like killing it. So Marty, I hope you watch. I know you're gonna watch. You're killing it, dude. Let's keep it up, man. I love it.
And the most positive guy in the entire bending community. That guy is unreal. Yeah, he's so calculated too, like you said. Everything is laid out, and he knows what he's doing each session, and it's very cool to see that. He's taken a real scientific approach to this instead of just like what I do. What do I feel like doing today? What can I do today? What do I have energy for? Right? And you just grip until you can't, right?
Right.
Yeah, he's very consistent with everything. And it's almost every other day I'm seeing a post from him. He's bending something, and it's not just double overhand. He's trying brace bending. And I think today he tried the arm wrestling bend that David Horn had up. So he's doing everything.
Yeah. I think he snapped a grade 5 and 3, which is a horrible feat to do. Don't recommend it.
He actually, shout out to Bulldog Marty, because when I was starting out with horseshoes, he helped me learn how to heart them, which led on to me snapping them and all sorts of stuff. So that guy was a very, very big help. So thanks again, Marty, for that. That was very helpful, dude.
Yeah, man. I think there's like so much good in this community of bending and grip. Like it really, it is something special. I feel like I think it was really cool to get involved with this, and then just like having the podcast and being able to like meet so many people through it. It is people are super supportive. It is a unique thing like that. I think it's great, and that's one positive for the social media stuff, because we're all connected, and it's like in a time where there's just a lot of trash online, I guess it's nice that this is a cool thing, that's dependent.
Hey, young girls are shaking their ass and putting in the work, man. But yeah, I think 99% of the steel bending community realize how nuts this is and how kind of ridiculous it is, and we can kind of laugh about it and cheer each other on, and it's fantastic.
Yeah. And it's like
a very obscure thing,
and it is so odd, but it's like I feel like it opened my eyes to like a different breed of human. Like I don't, and maybe it's just because I wasn't really that tapped into like strength culture, so to speak. Like, but like some of these guys I've got to meet through bending, like they're just strong in every goddamn way. You know, it just is like insane. You know, and it's like I don't know. It's just been so impressive to be witness to it. You know.
It's just such a different kind of strength too, right? There's your barbell sports and all sorts of different activities, but the kind of strength you can build in steel bending does not really, nothing too much really carries over to this, right?
Yeah.
Which I find it's very, very interesting. You can get a really strong guy and you can hand him a 60D nail and you can just watch them. They can fail, right? And of course there's technique to it, of course, but it's just such a different type of strength.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it changed, at least for me, it changed my overall mindset about things. It was just like, it made me so much more mentally strong, like, because it just experiencing something that was like, it was as if I couldn't pick up the bar, you know what I mean? Like, cause you get the steel and you just simply can't bend it. You know, it's like, yeah, of course you can go down to small enough where you can bend it, whatever. But like, take a 60D, for example, you know, it's like, that'll just shut you down. And it's like, and then just learning and just like going to that place where you're laying fully into it and then just like having that become possible little by little was such a good thing for just like my mental fortitude when it comes to anything. And I think like the way I look at any feat, I guess in general, but like if we keep it to strength, you know, it's like I'm approaching it in the same way now. It's just like, yeah, okay, like that's what it weighs. I'm gonna figure out a way to lift it, you know, like that's it. You know?
Yeah.
And I think like that really, maybe I always had it in me, but I think bending really brought it out of me. You know, would you guys agree with like that? Just like it teaches you a certain level of mental fortitude that you hadn't experienced elsewhere.
Without a doubt, there's nothing like it. Yeah.
Yeah. Anytime you have to talk yourself through something and overcome a mental barrier, it's so helpful to your own character. And we've talked about this before, Cody, how we can carry on a conversation with somebody who's absolutely interested in something and can tell you all about it. And just watching the excitement of this person, you know, talk about what they're interested in, get you excited about not exactly that thing, but what you're interested in as well. And I think being part of that community really helped the three of us and the five of us in that group, the On a Bender. But yeah, having to go over those mental blocks is a huge character builder. It's huge, and it carries over to everything in life, whether it is a weird sport, but it carries over into everything that we do.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. And it's like, I think we could all relate to like I was speaking to somebody yesterday and I was talking about just like how motivated I am right now with like the strongman stuff. And at least for me, like the thing I'm passionate about, like, and maybe I've said this on the podcast before, I'm not sure, but it's like, I almost have to remove the thought of that thing to think about anything else in life. Like basically all my waking hours, you know, it's like that level of obsession with, you know, for a long time it was jujitsu. Like first thing I wake up in the morning, in my mind, I'm watching jujitsu before I go to sleep. And it's like, I'm only thinking about something else if I have to, you know, and it's like, that's the way it was with bending. That's the way it is with strongman. And it's like, I was mentioning this to somebody, I think it was yesterday, and I could see the look on their face when I say like, I have to remove the thought of that thing to think about anything else. And I was just like, I don't think this person gets it, you know, and that's okay. But it's like, I think you guys get that, right?
Maybe we all just have ADHD and we haven't been diagnosed. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just the pure passion for it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a neat thing when you help, like my buddy Rory, or Cody, I know you've been talking to him. He's a real strong dude. He's going to Worlds for Strongman coming up here. Very powerful guy. And he started bending a little bit and laid off. And the first time I showed him how to bend a horseshoe, I've done this with a few guys. You teach them how to bend something. And these are very strong guys. And you kind of help them direct their energy into a piece of steel, whether it's a horseshoe or a 60D. And just the look of satisfaction on their face, they all just tend to go, huh. Right? Like just the satisfied look at the end of it. You're like, yeah, that's exactly it. That's that feeling where you go, I just did that. It's wild. It's weird. And it's just so satisfying.
Yeah.
It's funny to see the separation. So I've had both reactions where I've had somebody bend something and they kind of give it like a, oh yeah, that's kind of cool. And then they hand it off to you. And then somebody bends it and they're like, okay, what's next? Like you can see that in their eyes. You're like, all right, let's dig into the box here and see what else we got.
Yeah.
There's like a certain person that gets to it. It's great.
Yeah. So we talked a lot about the pros of the community, like what about the cons? Is there anything you guys wish was different about the steel bending culture?
Not that I can tell. I honestly, like, I haven't been in it that long compared to a lot of people. It's been just a year and a bit. And my personal experience, everyone is so welcoming, so nice, so encouraging. I can reach out to anyone. Like I was trying to think about another, whether it's strength sport, athletic endeavor, where you can reach out to some of the top guys on the planet at it, and they will get back to you and help you personally. Like that's my personal opinion. I can't think of another athletic endeavor where you can just reach out to the best, and they will walk you through a lot of it. I found it very positive and encouraging in my experience, and I've been very, very happy just to be a part of it.
Yeah. I think maybe just like, and it's such a small thing, but there maybe is some element of just like, I think people should maybe just like let people live, it's like if there is some dude like bending in doubles and that's what he does, like just let him do it, like there's no reason to say like it'd be harder in singles. Yeah, of course it would be. Like everybody knows that. Like
there's so many different aspects of this whole thing.
Yeah, it's like and that's like, it doesn't happen a lot, and I guess that's just the nature of like online stuff. You can never really understand like the tone in which someone leaves a comment, like, but that's just like one thing that I've noticed. Is just like, why even say, like, of course, like why even comment something like that?
It's very obvious that singles are a lot harder than doubles for sure.
You don't have to point it out. I find with fringe sports, it's more so that you're able to reach out to those top guys. Like Highland Games is very comparable. If you reach out to the top guys, 90% of the time you're going to get an answer or a tip or something to help you out. If you did it in basketball or something, you wouldn't get the same reaction. But having a community that small, the people that are on top realize that you have to bring people into the sport to keep it alive. You have to keep people coming through the gate. You have to keep people watching your videos online, or it just doesn't go anywhere. So I think they kind of get that in a smaller sport.
Yeah. And another thing I think about it, and I'm not like trying to like bring anything down, is because like, and I've had to explain this to some outsiders that like maybe have it twisted. It's like, just because you're strong at this one niche thing doesn't mean you're strong in every possible way. Like that there's a lot of guys we know who are, that are like, strong in everything they do, but it's just because, and this is good to keep in mind, just because you're a black belt in jiu-jitsu doesn't mean you're an expert in something else. It's like, the fact is if you're good at one thing, you're good, and you're an expert at that particular thing. It doesn't carry over to anything else.
Yeah.
You guys find that in your sports? That's like running rampant in jiu-jitsu right now. It's like everybody that's a black belt is an expert on everything else all of a sudden. I can't take it. It's insane. It's like, it's just like they're a doctor, they're an accountant, and they're a lawyer too, just because they got a black belt.
I haven't noticed it too much. No, I think that's just a lot of people these days, because you can read up on anything on the internet. But
any Highland Games guys that can throw a thing over a stick or whatever, that all of a sudden think they're like a marriage counselor or something, Josh?
Yeah, but it's hard to discourage these people, because they do bring a certain person or a certain crowd to the game. So I don't know, you get your characters in every sport, and as long as they're not talking down the sport or doing something stupid to ruin it for everybody, you kind of just have to let them spin their tires and just watch the clown show, right?
True. But all right, as we start winding down here, anything you guys want to touch on?
No, I don't think so, man. Just thanks to you, like for you, like for myself being a newbie last year. Just your podcast drew me into the sport, and I learned so much through it. Like I didn't like even what I referenced earlier with Amir snapping horseshoes is I didn't know that that was a thing, right? So the amount of things that I learned just through listening to your podcast or David Horn with his page and all the stuff he does, I just think that those, like, you guys, in my personal opinion, are pillars of this community. So just the thanks to you guys for everything you've done, because it's helped me out. I can't give you enough credit for it.
Yeah, even if there's nights where you don't think the credit is there or the thanks is there. Like the other night, I was rewatching old episodes of the podcast just to get different views of things, and it is helping a lot of people.
Oh, thanks, man. That's what I really wanted to do, and it's kind of funny, like, because to think or to look at my Instagram feed now versus when I got my first bag of nails or whatever, just like a year and a half ago or whatever it was, I felt like I couldn't figure out where this stuff was going on. And that's like, I've mentioned it a few times, but like, thank God for Devin's like hashtagging and Jaden, because those dudes, like, as silly as hashtagging seems, like those dudes were hashtagging steel bending, and that's how I found them, like, and that was kind of like how it all started. And it's like, now it's like every other post is like some steel bending thing, and it's like this whole world that, I didn't know existed exactly. And that's like with the podcast, I wanted to just like open that up a little bit, because it seemed like, how do I wrap this thing? Like, am I really going to just like message someone and ask? Yeah, I guess. But like, let's get something like that's good out there so people can watch, and I can send them when they want to know how to wrap proper, because it actually matters a whole hell of a lot how you wrap, like, and all the styles and everything like that. So it's like, I'm glad that people got a lot out of the podcast, and it certainly was like a great thing for me, because it kept me involved in this thing that was super exciting for me, that physically I couldn't do every minute of the day, but it kept me involved with it, like while I was resting. And it was like, there were certain days when I knew I had a podcast coming, I was so psyched, like I was going to get to talk to whoever it was. It was a really cool thing, and I'm glad it helped people out too. And Dave, you were the first person, I think, that messaged me saying like, hey, I listened to the podcast, like, thanks. I think you were the first message I got about that. So that was cool.
Yeah,
The
I was
first
just
review.
I just came across steel bending through like, a random thing. And I was like, oh, I wonder if there's a podcast. Everyone likes podcasts, right? And I looked it up, and there you were, man. So yeah, it was a huge help. Learned a ton from this.
I mean, that's why I started it, because that's how, like, did the same with strongman, did the same, like skateboarding ones, jujitsu. Is like, podcasts are such a good way to absorb information about the thing that you're into. It's like, and I was like, okay, maybe there's a steel bending podcast. I want to know more about this, and there wasn't, so I made one.
Congrats again on your first strongman competition, man. You did, dialed in hard, and you got very strong.
Well, thanks for all your help, man. Dave is my unofficial strength coach for sure. But yeah, it was great, man. It was, like, I'm really happy with that. I'm ready to do another one, of course. And it's not something that I ever would have pictured myself doing. And I think, like, steel bending probably played a role in like getting me to that place. It's just like, it felt great. It is the thing that I'm having to remove to think about normal life stuff right now. It's my total obsession for sure. I'm
it's
like,
funny how it
I'm watching.
It's funny how it never happens all at once, right? Like you start at steel bending, and then you get your first stone, and you lift that a few times. You're like, hey, maybe I should go do this. And it was funny, and I could watch it on your Instagram feed how it was happening.
Yeah,
you knew it was coming.
And it's funny how they all are. Like there's certainly, like, of the Venn diagram, say, there's like a good crossover of like the stone lifters and the steel benders, I'd say, like, and then maybe the guys that are like super into competitive strongman don't necessarily, like, they're a little farther over on that one, but there certainly is like some connection there, like, of like guys that are into the natural stone lifting particularly, and steel bending, which was cool. And it certainly was like the segue, no doubt about it.
And I don't know if you would agree with this or not, Josh, because you're a very good stone lifter, but I found the steel bending, like, I got into stone lifting after steel bending, like natural stone lifting. I had done Alice stones before, but the natural stone lifting is something newer for me. And steel bending has helped a huge amount. The hand and the wrist strength to be able to do, because a lot of natural stone lifting, like just being able to hold your wrist cocked is huge, and the finger pressure and hand pressure. And I personally attribute a lot of my recent success in stone lifting to steel bending.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely helps in picking stones up off the ground. But I've always said, especially with natural stone lifting, every stone is a different puzzle, and just finding new balance points and like how I'm going to lift this is a little bit different than the last stone I tried. It's the exact same thing with steel bending. Not every material is the same. It's a different puzzle. So I think getting that mentality as well really helps with stone lifting.
That's actually interesting you say that, because I'm going to draw the parallel that I usually draw, and it's like of the thing that's it being so inconsistent and every natural stone being like its own puzzle. Like that's like sparring in jujitsu or like skateboarding or surfing or whatever. Like all those things are these individual things that you're almost like never recreate themselves, and that maybe that's why that's like the stone lifting fits into a lot of the same type of people's training.
Yeah, and it's like the same argument among stone lifters. It's like, okay, so you've lifted this stone, so you can lift 300-pound stones. It was like, no, hang on. There's one over here that's kind of shaped like an egg. Go try that one first and tell me you can lift a 300-pound stone. You know, it's totally different, every stone.
Yeah.
So humbling, like compared to a barbell, right? Like a barbell, a 300-pound barbell is a 300-pound barbell, but I know very strong guys, that can lift almost a 400-pound natural stone, but if it's a little bit smoother and it's under 300 pounds, it's difficult, right? So it's a strength puzzle, right? And now you got to figure out how to do it, where to grab it. Just all your bodily strengths and deficiencies get exposed pretty quickly.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw the 2 Olympic lifters that came out to lift our stones. Yep. Both of those guys can clean over 400 easily any day of the week, and had trouble with a 275-pound stone. Like it's so different.
That's awesome. I didn't know that, Josh. That's awesome.
Yeah, those guys they're like nationally ranked. They're Team Canada, and they had trouble with it.
That's awesome. Wild. And it's so interesting because it's like it works both ways, right? It's like just because you can lift the 275-pound natural stone doesn't mean you can go clean 400. It's like all what you work on, like how you develop your skill set. I guess it's strength is a weird thing, man.
Yeah, you can't hook grip a stone.
Yeah, that's true. That's for sure. Actually, Josh, why don't you? I know that it wasn't until like 6 months of knowing you that I knew that I didn't find out that you had the stones at your house. So why don't you tell the people about the stones you have there?
Oh yeah. So rewind a little bit. My first taste of stone lifting, we were in Utah, and one of the athletic directors came over to us and said, "Listen, guys, we didn't have a strongman competition. We couldn't hold it yesterday. If anybody goes over there and shoulders that stone, I'll give you $125. And at the end of the day, we're a little bit drunk. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. So I walked over and tried this, and of course I failed. I got it to my chest, and that was it. And then I was hooked for stone lifting. So I started researching all these stones, the Scottish stones, and I thought, well, there's nothing holding me back from starting my own. I just got to go find a couple of stones, and that's kind of where it spitballed. And we've now so we have 2 stones. One's 220, that's the wee lass, and the chieftain is 275 pounds. And so we also have commemorative coins. If someone's able to shoulder them, the men have to shoulder the 275-pound stone, and the women have to shoulder the 220-pound stone. And yeah, it's an open challenge to anybody that wants to come out and try it. And it's neat to see the people that have actually come out to give it a shot.
That's awesome. And you got a bell now. You got to ring the bell, right?
Yeah, that's the new addition. We I talked about it for a long time ago. And I was just recently talking to someone. I was like, why haven't we brought this out? So I finally found a bell, and now it's all it is to establish that you have control of the stone on your shoulder. Because I've had a few people get it up there and then throw their arm off and then throw it down, which I still counted. I mean, I'm not going to nitpick, but if you really want to show me that you're in control, you have to go ring this bell. So I think it's a neat little dynamic I've added to it.
That's awesome. And how do people, if they want to come lift them, they just track you down on Instagram?
Yeah, Goldthorp Lifting Stones. We do have a Facebook page. It's not as active, but mainly the Instagram one's the big one.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
People should do that, man, because there's really not that many like lifting stones or like notable lifting stones, even in North America in general. You know, it's like I was
Yeah.
looking on that Old Man of Stone site, and it's there's not many. There really, and some are not liftable anymore. The closest one to me was like in PA somewhere, and they like secured it in place somehow. It's like cemented to wherever it was, so it's not liftable anymore.
Yeah, the only major ones I know of in North America, and actually Dave is working with Ryan Stewart right now. Ryan Stewart set up a circuit around Salt Lake City,
Yeah.
Utah, and there's tons of stones down there. They just released a documentary. If anyone hasn't seen that, check that out.
Yes,
But yeah, that's a big circuit. There's our stones, and then there's a couple on the west or east coast that I know are still there.
Ohio.
I haven't kept up, but yeah.
Ohio has a few, and Ohio is strangely like, I feel like Ohio might be the strongest state in the States. I don't know what it is. Like, there's some strong people from Ohio, man. But yeah, they have some stones on that site, and actually, the dude Sean Urquhart,
yeah,
I messaged him and I was like, hey man, do you know of any stones on the East Coast? You know, because like the history of the East Coast is like crazy. You know, it's like I figured there's got to be something that's maybe not on that site. And he actually, I told Dave a little bit about this, is there he sent me this article from Rogue about this old time strongman, like massive dude in the late 1800s that lived in eastern Connecticut named Elmer Bitgood. And they called him like New England's Paul Bunyan. And supposedly he was like upper 300s, like fairly short, just like solid farmer dude. And he would do these demonstrations, and he had lifting stones at his house, including a couple of barbells, like old school World's Strongest Man style, with like two rocks on the side attached to the bar.
Oh yeah.
So I read this article and I got to my detective skills going and tracked down like the people that live on this dude's farm now. And I found them on Facebook, and I was like, hey, can I, like, do you ever allow tours or anything? And they're like, yeah, we let the schools come around and we tell them the story of the Bitgood family and everything like that. And I was like, oh, could I come check him out? Can I make an appointment? And I was like, how do I go about that? He's like, you just ask me. This is all on like Facebook Messenger. So it's like, I'm going to go over like, it's kind of close to where my in-laws have a place in Rhode Island. So next time we're out there, I'm going to go check out these ancient lifting stones from the New England's Paul Bunyan, Elmer Bitgood. It looks so sick. I'll have to send you the Rogue article.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very cool. Those things look awesome, Cody.
Yeah, it's awesome. So looking forward to that, and I'm half tempted to start a Goldthorp style lifting stone.
Do it
in my lawn.
That's the next. Honestly, that's the next thing with our lifting. So we have our stones that's established and everything. So now I don't know how I'm going to do it. I'm going to start raising funds to actually get a set of coins for whoever wants to start the next one, and just keep it going, man. We got to get more of them out there.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, Dave, you were talking about doing one in Edmonton, right?
Yeah, there might be. I can't confirm anything. Still working on some ideas, but there may be some coming to Edmonton in the future. Yeah.
All right, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, it's
all
too
right,
much
guys.
fun.
Well, I think we'll call it a night there. It's really good to catch up with both you guys. Again, thank you for being part of this crazy thing, man. Like I said, if we didn't have that group chat, it would have been a whole different sequence of events, and totally grateful. And I hope we all can meet up in person one day. And yeah, man, thanks, guys.
Thank you very much, Cody.
All right, well, I'll be in touch, and this will come out probably tomorrow. So have a good night, guys.
Yeah, have a good night, guys.
Cheers.